It's been one hell of a busy day today in the world of college football. Outside the fact that Miami Hurricanes have not played, we've seen a truckload of upsets today. We've seen some big games. But of course, you know who we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the Miami Hurricanes. And I wanted to bring up some things that former Alabama coach Nick Saban said about the Miami Hurricanes and how he has been praising the Miami Hurricanes now for a few weeks, that is. And like everyone, he has been made a believer of this team. And the more I watched today, and I'll talk about this more on Monday night when I do Unfiltered Hurricanes Unfiltered live. The more I watch today, the more I have very little doubt in my mind that the Miami Hurricanes are the best team in the country. And it would be a massive disappointment if the Miami Hurricanes don't win the national championship. I can't believe I'm saying that in week 6, but from what I saw today in college football, every comment that I've heard from any national media member who is riding the Miami Hurricanes gravy trail, it really it resonated again today because I watched Alabama, Missouri, very unimpressive. I thought Missouri gave that game away personally. I saw Oregon, Indiana. I think we just saw Oregon get exposed on their home field. Indiana is legit. I will say that. I think they're legit. They have a much better defense than they had last year. And the way they handled Oregon today on the road was highly impressive. um, I got Georgia at Auburn on the back right now. I mean, Auburn has completely given this game away with the fumble right before halftime. But with all the games that I watched today, everything that I've thought about the Miami Hurricanes, it just it's like it was validated and verified because there hasn't been a team, and of course I did watch the Florida State loss to Pittsburgh, which was an utter embarrassment. But there hasn't been a team. I tell you what, Indiana has been the most impressive team that I've seen besides the Hurricanes. They have been the most impressive team. Ohio State has not been. They won today over Illinois, big Wahooies. But Nick Saban had some words about the Miami Hurricanes over the last few weeks, and I'm going to talk about that right here. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Hurricanes Unfiltered, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Show. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Appreciate y'all continuing to support the channel as we grow the Hurricane content. As you know, Monday night, 9 p.m., Hurricanes Unfiltered live. And then we got next Friday, we got Louisville next Friday night, 7 p.m. at the Hard Rock. I will have lanyards. If you haven't got any lanyards and you do see me at the game, hit me up. I'll have lanyards with me. So, do it definitely. Don't hesitate. If you see me, ask me for one for sure, because I'll have a batch with me. So this is what Nick Saban had to say. Nick Saban, this is going back to September 12th, where Nick Saban says, talking about Miami, and this is going back to the Notre Dame game actually, but this is over a few weeks. He says, I think one of the reasons for that, they're much better on defense. Carson Beck is really good. Is a really good quarterback, and he's played exceptionally well so far this year. But they are physical, man. They played more physical than Notre Dame. I did see Notre Dame play today, by the way, as well. They beat the brakes off NC State, which is typically a pretty physical team. So the combination of those two things and the improvement on defense, I think, is going to make this a hard team to beat. That was just what he said going back to September 12th. And then if you look at what he's been saying since then, we find that where is it? So then he said a week later, I think Miami is one of the most complete teams that I've seen, from being physical, being balanced on offense, being able to run the ball, being able to pass the ball with a good quarterback and good skill guys and make explosive plays, as well as the fact that they're playing very well on defense and they've got a very good front. I love Jason Taylor. He was one of the best guys, the best players I ever had the opportunity to coach. I'm talking about from an attitude standpoint, from a leadership standpoint. I mean, he was a great player too, but he's coaching that defensive line, and those guys have gotten better every year, and now they've got a pretty dominant front. I think Jason Taylor really has to get recognized. He has to truly be recognized for what he has meant to this defensive line, to Ruben Bain, to Keem Mesidor, and how these guys are just like absolute animals. They are incredible. That pair is as good a pair of defensive ends on the same team as Miami has had in, I'm guessing, 25 years. I mean, they are next level. And I mean, heck, I know how good '01 was. I will tell you this. It might be the best pair of defensive ends Miami's had in 35 years. Like you're talking going back to the Kevin Patrick, Darren Crine, Rusty Medeiros, that time. I mean, because I remember, Miami. Maybe I'm misremembering, but we had Jerome McDougal, but I couldn't. I'm gonna be real with you. I can't remember who the other defensive end was, and that should tell you something because I'm sure he. I think I remember who it was, but I'm not sure, so I'm not even gonna try to speculate here. I've never forgotten the years of Darren Crine, Kevin Patrick, and Rusty Medeiros. Like, never forgotten those guys. I've never forgotten the guys that I grew up watching in the 80s and the 90s. Whereas, since 2004, I mean, Miami had Calais Campbell. But outside of that, I mean, it's hard for me to remember guys that were substantive players at defensive end and were like dominant defensive ends. I'm sure there are some, and I'm just not remembering. And that's fine. But these two guys are incredible. They are a dominant pair, and I think Jason Taylor deserves a world of credit for what he's been able to teach them and work on them, work with them on. Because I mean, he's obviously a Hall of Famer who's played the position, who's done it all. So yeah, I'm very impressed with what he's done with the defensive line because I believe he's the only defensive coach that Miami retained from last year. Saban also said the back end is a lot better. They did a great job in the transfer portal getting some guys that could play in the back. So they have one of the most complete teams I've seen so far this year. And the DBs have been great. Jacoby Thomas has been fantastic. Poyser's been fantastic. They've been really good in the defensive backfield. There's no question about it. And then again, he's talking about Carson Beck and saying he's very comfortable. He's very confident. I think sometimes in the past, the big thing you wanted to do was make him move his feet. That affected his accuracy. Now he's got better players around him here. Think about that for a second. Nick Saban just said, now he's got better players around him. This is a guy who played on a Georgia team that went 13-1 and beat Florida State 63-3. Now that was a freshman level. That was the trash can guys that didn't opt out of the bowl game. But this is a guy who was 13-1 at Georgia in that season. And to say that he's got better players around him, that is a massive praise for Mario Cristobal. Massive. Because a lot of the times we're sitting here talking about, well, is there a talent issue? Well, no, there really isn't. Nick Saban just told you they got more talent than Georgia. Nick Saban says that Miami's got more talent than Georgia. Remember all the guys that Georgia's taking out of South Florida? It's crazy. But Mario Cristobal has done an absolutely exceptional job in recruiting the transfer portal and still recruiting freshmen who, as you see this year, have made an absolute impact on this team and are huge contributors. I mean, Malachi Tony, Bryce Fitzgerald, Joshua Moore. These guys are all big-time contributors. Like there's never been a question of Mario Cristobal's recruiting ability. It's always been that game day stuff, and we still deal with it. But when you have talent at a level there's a certain level that if you hit a certain level in talent that you don't necessarily have to truly worry about what the coach might do because you're just so good or might not do. So, you know, he says he's very confident when he's doing the offense and the guy plays smart. He's always well prepared and he makes a lot of good decisions. The other thing he's done a good job of is what we used to try to make him do when we played him when he was at Georgia and we were at Alabama. Make him move his feet. He's moving his feet better. He's staying on balance. The receiver does a great job coming back to the ball. Makes a play that in the past was not something that he could normally do. This does so much for confidence of an entire team when you go out there and execute like this in the beginning of the game. He's talking about the South Florida game. So you hear the praise from, you know, Nick Saban. You've heard the praise from other people. I got clips and clips and clips and clips of stuff, but obviously Nick Saban is probably the foremost authority on college football. You know, when it comes to college football, Nick Saban is the foremost authority. So his opinion to me holds more weight than anybody else's. It just holds more weight to me than anyone else's opinion. So when I know Mario Cristobal can say blase, blase, doesn't want the attention, wants the guys to focus the whole nine. But I think this is a big thing for the program. And that's the one thing that he's not going to jump into, and I don't expect him to. He's coaching a football team. He has to keep them on point, and that's critical. But this helps recruiting even more. It's one thing to be a great recruiter and get guys who are coming in when you're not amazing, you're not elite. Think of the fact that you got Cam Ward to come to Miami. And look, I know NIL's made a big difference, but you got Cam Ward to come to Miami after Miami was, I don't remember what their record was. I mean, let me see here. I don't even remember. It was probably I'm guessing it was 7-6 or 7-5 or 8-4, 5, something like that. Yeah, you look at their record. His first year they're 5-7. The second year they go 7-6. You got Cam Ward after going 7-6. That's pretty significant. And then last year they go 10-3. So it has a lot of weight to see a team that is now winning with the talent that's been brought in. You look at the guys that he has right now, his first class, there's 2 first-round draft picks in his first class that are on this team right now. Francis Magoa and Ruben Bain are going to be top 10 picks. They're top 10 picks. I mean, I'd be shocked if Magoa didn't go in the top 10. I mean, he's a monster. He's an absolute monster. You know, and Ruben Bain, you've seen him. He's incredible. So those guys are top 10 picks, in my opinion, or at worst, top 15. Ruben Bain's a top 5 pick. Magoa, at worst, is a top 15 pick. And that's from his first class coming in, where he had like 2 weeks or a month or whatever it was, very short period of time to recruit. So while he doesn't want to ride on that stuff, when you have Nick Saban singing praises like this, people hear it. I mean, I don't know what Nick Saban is doing. He might be anti-recruiting Alabama at this point because every time Nick Saban says good stuff about a program the way he has about Miami, it's heard. And young people hear it, they see it, and there's results on the field. And especially after watching today again, that's the one benefit of the bye week is you really get to see everybody in action. You know, oh yeah, Texas beating Oklahoma today. I mean, beating them like a drum in the second half, and I don't think Texas looked that good. I thought Oklahoma looked like trash for the most part. John Mateer, he wasn't very good today, and I mean, give him credit for playing, considering that he had a broken hand, whatever, he had surgery on his hand or whatever, wrist or whatever it was. But he wasn't good. He wasn't good. And Texas, you know, in the second half, particularly, you know, made some plays. It wasn't like Arch Manning did anything special. It wasn't special. It wasn't anything incredible by any means. Mateer threw 3 picks. Just wasn't a very good performance. So like you look at all these teams, I see flaws and holes in all of them, and I don't see those holes in the Miami Hurricanes. I don't see. I mean, I'm not being a homer here. I don't see them. I don't see him. We saw the big playability against Florida State. The fourth quarter thing, I think that's the biggest headache is close the damn games out. Like, we got to close games out, but that's a coaching philosophy. That's not players not doing something. That's when you drop people back into prevent coverage and shit like that, and just try to pound the ball into a wall. Like I watched Pittsburgh and Florida State today, and I watched Pittsburgh eat Florida State up in the fourth quarter because they kept. Obviously, it was a close game, and I'm watching FSU's defense. They're playing a 3-3-5. They can't get to the quarterback. They cannot get to their pass rush is fucking horrible, and yet for some reason Mario goes against throwing the ball in the fourth quarter in that game. You know, they got beat by a freaking true freshman today. You know, so yeah, that is the one area that I see a hole. That's the one hole. Other than that, and I will say I haven't been too happy with the punting game. Not been happy with Dylan Joyce's flipping the field. He has not done a good job of doing that. But place kicking made everything. O-line is best in the country, in my opinion. D-line, best in the country. Wide receivers have looked fantastic. I guess the one thing I don't see that we have right now is a home run hitting running back. But Fletcher and Marty Brown can make big plays. However, I'd like to see Jordan Lyle get some more attempts, but more attempts that go with the offense. Not that you just stick someone out there and say it's your turn. Like that your turn shit. I don't ride with that crap. I don't like that. Well, it's your turn now. No. It has to make sense. And against Florida State, I don't think it makes sense. And the plays they ran did not make sense in that situation. But when I look at all these teams today and I watch them on me, UJ and Auburn's behind me right now, and Ohio State and Alabama and Missouri and Ole Miss damn near loses to Washington State at home. Indiana, Oregon. These teams have holes and warts all through them. And Miami doesn't. Not even remotely close to what I've seen from these other squads. So, again, Nick Saban's a big praiser of the University of Miami, man. What are y'all thoughts? Leave a comment. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate y'all jumping on board. This is Hurricanes Unfiltered. Power, come on now, the podcast. Come on now.